Book review on LA Candy. Title: LA Candy. Author: Lauren Conrad. Genre: young adult. Themes: love, drama, friends, enemies, and intrigue. Publisher: HarperCollins. Price: 150 krona. Book cover. On the cover of the book, the author's name is written with large letters, and underneath it, the name of the book, LA Candy, is written with italics. Underneath the title, there's a lot of white hearts, but only one is pink. Establish a background. The author, Lauren Conrad, was the main character in the reality series The Hills on MTV. After the series was done, she wanted to write a book of her experiences on the show. A lot of the things that happened for her on the show, for example, friendships, enemies, love, drama, were what she wanted to write about. Lauren also wanted to write about that not everything you see on television is real. In an interview, she said, "When I was on the hills and I would go on a nightclub with the camera crew, and all of a sudden I would meet the person that I hated, would sometimes be set up." In another interview with Lauren, she said, "I wanted this book to be like my life being signed onto the hills. It also tells of what it was like doing the hills. Some stories are basically behind the scenes on the hills, being hooked up with wires and stuff." Introduction. In the book, you'll follow Jane and her best friend Scarlett that moves to LA a while after they graduated from high school. Jane was excited about moving to LA because she had got an internship in an event management called Fiona Chen Events Management, and that has always been Jane's dream job. Also, she just broke up with her first long-term boyfriend, Caleb, so for Jane, moving to LA was a fresh start on everything. Scarlett was too excited about moving. She got to live with her best friend Jane and go on her favorite university, University of Southern California. Everything changes when they get offered to participate in a new reality show named LA Candy. At first they're a little bit skeptic about it, but they're willing to take a shot. It is very exciting and fun for the girls at first, especially with all the money, publicity, media, photo shoots and interviews. But through the book, Scarlett changes her mind about the whole idea of the reality show. She feels like her friendship with Jane is changing. In general, that Jane is changing. Jane is very naive. She thinks that everybody wants the best in her interest and that nobody wants to harm her. But in reality, many of the people around her is using her. Characters. Jane Roberts. The main character is called Jane Roberts. The book is mainly focused at Jane. Jane has the typical girl next door look. She has long blonde hair and her big blue eyes and the sweet freckles on her nose. Quote, "Jane was standing in the doorway stifling a yawn. She was wearing her blue silk robe that made her look 10 years old, and her long blonde hair was wet. There was a spot of white moisturizer on her lightly freckled nose, and she smelled like strawberry shampoo. She was as always an adorable little miss. She looked like the girl next door and an innocent to match. That innocence made some people like Scarlett fiercely protective of her. It made other people, like all the assholes of the world, try to take advantage of her. She is working at Fiona Chen's Events Management. At first she does errands for her boss, but later on she gets to work like an event planner. Jane's biggest wish and passion since kindergarten has been to plan things, like parties and arrangements. Quote, "Jane was still the same old Jane, wanting to dress everybody up and organize parties. That was all she wanted to be, an event planner. That was why she was so happy about the internship at Fiona Chen's Events Management. Jane is very naive. She always wants to think the best of all people. She is very sweet and innocent. She doesn't want to step on anybody's toes or talk back. She is optimistic and a good and caring friend. But through the book, she gets a realistic idea of how Hollywood truly is, and she gets more tough and strong." Scarlett Harp. Scarlett is also one of the main characters in the book. She's a drop-dead gorgeous girl with long wavy black hair and olive skin and beautiful green eyes. But she refuses to wear anything besides jeans and t-shirts. Here's a quote from Jane. "It doesn't matter what she wears. She looks good in anything. but she looks even more attracted in her old Levi's and t-shirt. She is studying philosophy at the University of Southern California. She is very clever and smart. She reads a lot of books, mainly about philosophy, like Shakespeare and René Descartes. Scarlett is not much of a romantic. She has commitment issues, according to Jane, and high standards according to herself. I quote, Scarlett Hobb was famous for giving guys the wrong name or the wrong phone number, or both, deliberately so she wouldn't have to see them ever again. If it turned out the next morning that she actually liked the guy and wanted to see him again, she'd tell him that she'd been too wasted the night before to get her contact info straight. Scarlett isn't afraid of telling people what she really feels. Quote, she never hesitated to say whatever was on her mind. She doesn't like people who aren't clever or smart. According to her, the typical Hollywood girl. Most of the time she acts really tough and cool, like it doesn't matter to her. She is a supporting and good friend, a quote from Jane. Although she acts all tough and cool sometimes, she is always there when I need her. Minor characters. Madison Parker. Madison is also a cast member of LA Candy. She has blonde, short hair and she is very thin, and she has blue-gray eyes. Quote from Scarlett. Oh my god, she is Paris Hilton. She looks just like her. And Madison's family is also rich. The only thing she needs is a chihuahua. Madison doesn't know Jane and Scarlett at first, but she becomes good friends with Jane. But in real life, her attention is to take Jane down by sending some pictures of Jane with one of the most coveted bachelors of Hollywood to Veronica Bliss, the editor-in-chief in the gossip magazine Hollywood. Madison does not have a job. She gets her money from her family, whom are very wealthy. She is a power-hungry socialite. She will do anything to take the leading role in LA Candy. From Jane. She acts really sweet and innocent on camera, but off camera she becomes a dominating, a bitchy, and evil person. Gabby Garcia. Gabby is also a cast member in LA Candy. Although she is one of the cast members of LA Candy, she does not play a huge part of the book. She is half American and half Mexican. She has curly brown hair and brown chocolate eyes. She hasn't a job just like Madison. Gabby is not so clever or smart. She likes to follow everything Madison does. Quote, Gabby may not be the smartest, and yes, I will agree with you that she follows Madison a tiny bit, but she isn't that bad. She is actually very sweet. Trevor Smith, creator and producer of the show LA Candy. He is in his mid-30s. Jane and Scarlett describes him as a handsome man. He is tall and has dark hair and blue eyes. At first he assures the girl that he would never try to break their friendship with each other by manipulating with the videos of the girls. He also promises them that he wouldn't cut something out of the show to make it seem fake and unreal. But in the end of the book you find out that he is cooperating with Madison. He wants to make Jane more interesting for the Hollywood audience. Fiona Chen. Fiona Chen is Jane's boss. At first she makes Jane run errands for her, but later on she gives her more responsibility and promotes her, because she discovers Jane's talent for event planning. She can be quite brutal, but she can also be caring. Fiona is in her mid-40s. Fiona only wears black clothes, red lipstick and sunglasses, and she smokes a lot. Brayden. Brayden is Jane's first crush after the breakup with her long-term boyfriend Caleb. He's really relaxed and cool, everything Hollywood isn't, but he's still trying to make it as an actor. He's got curly brown hair and hazel brown eyes. As said, very relaxed and is always wearing lumberjack shirts and jeans. Brayden secretly likes Jane as well, but has something going on with his on and off girlfriend Willow. When Jane starts dating Jesse, he starts feeling jealous. Jessie. Jessie is Brayden's best friend. They met in kindergarten and been best friends ever since. Even though they are friends, they are very different from each other. Jessie is known for being a player and is one of the most coveted bachelors in Hollywood. He has slept with over half of the girls in Hollywood and left them brokenhearted. Jessie has the typical Hollywood look, thick blonde hair, six-pack, the right clothes, sunglasses and car, and has that celebrity toothpaste smile. Jesse and Jane falls in love with each other, and it's the first time he's got true feelings for a girl. So he's trying to do all the romantic stuff he thinks Jane wants. But in the end, he cheats on her. Quote from Scarlett: "Once a player, always a player." Diego. Diego is Jane and Scarlett's first friend in Hollywood. He is super gay and lovely. He loves talking about men, clothes, and love bitching about all the Hollywood wannabes. Diego points out that Jane and Scarlett are the real deal. They are rare rays in LA. He always invites them to nightclubs so they can get super drunk and have a blast together. My own opinion. In general, I think the book was good. I like that it was inspired by the author's reality show, The Hills. Also because I really like the show. I really did love that you got an insight in the reality behind the reality show. I was surprised by how fake, set up and unreal shows like LA Candy are. I didn't like the character Jane's personality. She was too plain. On the other hand, I loved her friend Scarlett. She was fun, smart, gorgeous and just herself. She stood by her opinions, which I liked. So I was annoyed by the fact that it was Jane who was the main character and not Scarlett. But I loved the drama, intrigue and the story about how the two girls get their own show and how the fame affects their friendship and everything around them. That was my book review. Bye!